this would be a cool chance for us to kind of sit down and have a casual look at what the plans are for missions in this game. We know that there are modules they want to set up that they've been going over recently. We've seen combat missions, salvage, mining, investigation, bounty hunting, and data-focused missions over the last year or so getting added to the game and talked about. So now I figured, why don't we just have a little casual check at what Luke Presley had to say, because he's a pretty big part of this. He's a big part of the mission team. This video came out in 2019.
Current missions tend to require flying all over the star system, which, while good for keeping people moving and testing, can fatigue the player with long quantum travel durations. What's the philosophy behind having players traveling all over the place for more missions instead of having like a group of missions that keep you within a single planetary system?
The philosophy going forward is that we try and make enough content to fill a planetary system. We're aware, travel times are a big investment and quite dangerous sometimes as well. Crusader, right, is the first planetary system we built, and I'm sure everyone will be able to see that it's a lot more dense with content than the other planets. We want to get the other planets up to the kind of same parity with Crusader. You'll notice there are like space stations in there that don't exist elsewhere. They are kind of legacy things, these one-off builds that I'm sure we'll get to later, like how we're going to have abandoned rest stops and things like that. So we'll soon be making huge leaps forward in the content and the locations that we can add to the other systems.
Soon.
Delivery missions tend to send you, here, there, and everywhere. But within Crusader, you'll see that there's like Ling, this family company who only do deliveries within Crusader.
Okay.
You can imagine we'll be making those organizations that live local to the planet.
See, that's honestly, the game is missing that so hardcore right now. I used to do reviews of each update when they came out. I think I did that for like 4 or 5 updates, and then I realized it's too much work. But one of the things I used to test when I was doing those reviews was seeing how many missions were available around each planet when you spawned in. It never got better. It was always kind of the same. I feel like you should be able to reliably get missions from factions, like he's saying, that keep you in that area. Because until we get to the point where people expect to stay around one planet for a week, grinding reputation, meeting new people, getting loot and items, and just like staying in that one area, people are going to constantly consider Star Citizen being a game of traveling. If the game only requires you to do one mission and then they send you all the way across the system and then you do a mission there and maybe you want to go grab something, well, now you have to fly all the way across the system again. The more the game makes that be a thing, the more annoying it gets. The travel shouldn't be there as something we're always doing. It should be there as a way of separating the game and making strategies. And I feel like when the missions are actively making you do that travel all the time, that is opposite of what they should be doing. So I do hope that one of the things they really focus on after 4.0, when server meshing is in, the mission features team has a lot more freedom to do what they need to do. I hope they focus hard on local factions and localized gameplay. Anyways, let's get back into what he was saying about missions.
There are plenty of Covlex missions that are just within that location as well, and FTL, and when it comes to bounty missions, the majority of bounty missions do take place in one location. There is a specific company called Northrock that sends you across the system, and they pay more, but maybe not enough for the distances, because obviously we don't dynamically generate or calculate the rewards just yet based on distance.
Does anybody know? Can you confirm if they are rewarding us based on distance with these missions yet, or if it's still just the old method? They're just giving us whatever they want to give us?
Yeah, going forward, we are going to be making sure that there is a lot more content, or enough content to keep you interested there. The only other things that really try and move you around are the mission giver invites, and those, because they're like special enough, we hope, missions that you may be tempted to make the journey.
So much talk, so little return. I can't disagree with you there. The missions have the mission progression in this game has been super disappointing, and I understand they haven't had time to work on it, but nonetheless, over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been disappointing. Oh, investigation mission, interesting. We just now are hearing about this again. Let's hear what they had to say about it back then.
I'm imagining having to QA an investigation mission with procedurally generated clues, though, because then you have to like, do the clues actually get you to where you need to go, or did you not get to where you like? If you don't get to where you need to go in the QA, is it because the clues were bad and they were generated poorly, or is it because you failed to figure it out,
or is it because it's one of them is just broken? You know, like that's the trouble with, you know, it's the difficulty with making procedurally generated content.
Wow.
How do you ever, like, we have seeds and that, so they can tell us which seed it was and we can go back and check it, but, you know, they can't check every seed that could be generated. It'd be impossible. But yeah, we plan to do that. So you can imagine that you could start, you know, the mission could send you to an abandoned rest stop that gives you a clue that leads you to an outpost, which could be a dead end. You have to go back to the rest stop and dig a little deeper, and then you find it takes you to a UGF and then to a derelict in space, and you know, only then do you complete it.
We want that. God, I can't wait until they show us investigation missions, and that's what they're actually doing. All right, here's something that I think is an interesting take. Specialty ship missions, the idea of having to take a certain ship for a mission. We were kind of talking about this with exploration. Let's see what kind of angle they've got on this, though.
What are your thoughts on specialty ship missions, like a hacking mission for the Herald, or a race against time in an M50, or a mining mission for a mining ship?
I'll refer back to my previous answers. Basically, we want to do them, but you can imagine that putting all that effort into a mission that only a small portion of the player base can play is not right at this moment. We could be making missions for everyone, and we are making missions for everyone. But they're definitely things we want to do. Right now, we are actually making missions that are really, hopefully, by the time we're done, completable by ships that have, or teams that have a ship that can fire torpedoes, do some real damage. And in future, we want to do the cargo running missions and stuff. Strangely, all that kind of hinges on the screens that we have, like the trade-in consoles, the mining consoles, and even the shop consoles being converted into building blocks, so we have much more freedom as designers to get in there. Because right now they're flash, and we can't get involved. They're an image change. So the moment they are set up as a style, and then we're allowed to go in there, and we can't not make it pretty because it's got the style set on it. We would add like a new page to all of these, a new tab to all of these, which is like jobs. So you could go to one of the shops and see, oh, they'd like this transfer delivering to here. You know, they have like a courier kind of thing. Oh, great. On the trading consoles, you'd be able to see, we need this much moving in this amount of time. To which you can decide, you know, oh, my ship's not big enough to do that, or
that's honestly,
I think I can.
That's big. We were talking about this the other day on the podcast. I wonder if that's how it's actually going to be. If you take a contract for a cargo mission and they just tell you got to figure it out. Because it's kind of like somebody said in chat. They released salvage missions with only one ship being able to salvage them. But technically anybody can take the mission, right? Like you could probably go out there with 20 people with salvage tools and salvage the ship and actually complete the mission. It's just a matter of they haven't given us missions that fit that scale, or we don't have the tools to make that happen yet. So I wonder if you'd be able to take the same mission in a Hull C that you would in a Mercury Star Runner. You just have to figure it out either way how you do it. It really is depressing how long ago this was and how little in terms of interesting missions has been facilitated. It took a while for them to start working on missions again. I'm glad they got the mission features team going, but that took a good minute.
Same with mining. You'd be able to, you know, I will give you this long to find me this much weight of this, and no guidance. You know, like you have to be good. You have to have gone out there and done your research.
That sounds like
kind of
freaking juice for cargo haulers that I've talked about with this stuff. That's all they want. They just want someone to tell them that they've got to source material and then be sent to go source it. This is really cool to hear.
You know, I will give you this long to find me this much weight of this, and no guidance. You know,
But are we gonna the cargo refactor, the hull C, freight elevators, persistent hangars, all that stuff is supposed to be coming this year. Yet we haven't heard anything about this stuff actually being in the game. That's been really frustrating me about the cargo refactor. I know that the work is being done on it, but it feels like we are still in the design and engineering part of the work, in that they don't know how what he's saying is translating into the game.
The melee and non-lethal combat mechanics coming up. Can we expect new types of missions like capture bounties or boxing competitions or anything else you're willing to go into?
Yeah. You'll need dragging, or hopefully not dragging, hopefully over the shoulder. I've been talking to Rich Tyra, who was our lead kind of on the actor team. So I've been looking at the melee system. We've had to make laws around it, obviously. Like, had to go into, like, there's battery second degree if I just punch you in the face.
Right.
Battery first degree if I knock you out. And then kind of like proper, aggravated assault if I pull a gun or whatever. But yeah, hopefully knock you out, throw you over my shoulder, carry you out. As soon as we have that, then I'd imagine
That's what we're waiting for right now with Bounty Hunting V2.
most bounty missions would become that, or pay double for for taking you in.
Knowing that they said we will pay you more for bounty hunting missions, changing like that is an important detail. Let's talk about science missions.
There's one in the chat. Are there any plans for science or exploration-based missions, such as bring a sample of this plant to the outpost or find out how deep this cave goes?
Yes. Yeah. It's funny when I read that, actually, for how deep the cave goes. There is a design that we'll be working on soon based on that. Obviously, the collectibles. We have now inherited the mission team, as it were, the harvestable and mining thing. Once the system's been done, kind of completed by a future team, we've inherited it now. So we'll be deciding what goes on each planet, what kind of exotic harvestables. So when it comes to collections, yes, but again, you'd really want to hand that off to a person who's like, oh, and puts it under a microscope, and you get a bit of a nice ending to that mission. We could do them. You drop them. You drop them in the delivery locker, sadly, until we get that handoff.
I think this is like probably one of the biggest sections of gameplay for this, yet because it's so devoid from the game, so few people are actively talking about wanting to do it. Everyone's trying to find everything else they could do in the meantime. But I think there are a lot of people who want to get involved in that stuff. Passenger transport. I can't believe they were talking about this all the way back then. It's crazy how little we've seen of passenger transport, despite it being a big topic. Let's see what was going on there.
Let's see. Are there any upcoming plans for passenger transport missions?
Yes, there is. We've just managed to get I don't know, I'm going to spoil things, but like AI can step off of ships now, certain ships. Certain ships. Like, yeah, there are so many ways on and off of ships, obviously, that
there's another one.
And it's easier to get off of a ship than it is to get back on it, as I'm sure all players know who have landed on an uneven surface, right? So, obviously there'll be probably done from landing pads or at least some flat ground. Mm-hmm. I imagine if we can get AI off of a ship, we can also get AI on a ship, and they should be able to use all the same animations that players do to sit in the locations that players sit in. So yes, again, if you want to do this properly, we want dialogue. Otherwise,
Oh, you
there'd
want
be like
dialogue.
these mute kind of. It'd be like basically moving cargo with legs.
Yeah, I'll take
around,
moving
like,
cargo.
You know,
Give me the
otherwise,
mute. That's fine.
Yeah, you want dialogue. You want to kind of entertain them as well. You want like. You don't want to just have them again cargo with legs, just sat there, happy.
I bet you that's what happened. I bet that's why they were on the roadmap and taken off, because they were about to give them to us as just kind of like basic cargo missions with legs, and then they were like, wait, no, we want to build this out so it's tier 1. It feels like a full experience, and then they changed it up, and it took a while.
You have to take them places, like see certain things, and then we have to make it like the law system be able to understand kidnapping for a start.
What happens when you blow up a ship
Yeah.
full of 30 NPCs? What does that do to your crime stat?
I don't know. If hijackers come on and like start waving the gun around, what do these guys do? But there's it. I'm sure it sounds simple. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that simple. But we have the beginnings of this.
I think this was a decent look at mission stuff, especially from a perspective of several months ago. But I do think that the stuff they're doing with missions is also a lot of the stuff he's been talking about here, with the mission features team finally functioning and like working together and getting this stuff in at new locations. We're seeing more of the stuff he's talking about. So I do hope that we get investigation, bounty hunting, and cargo missions in the next several months. Not sure if it's going to happen though.